episode 2 of the Home Skin vlog, we are talking about the ideation of the product. How do I come and think about it? Now, I can't necessarily bring you along for a journey in terms of how I came up with the concepts and ideas of Home Skin, because it's something that's taken quite literally 20 years to evolve. And what I mean by that is, in order for me to release Home Skin and for me to put the value of Home Skin above anything else that we would like to launch, and I know there's lots of products out there that you are asking for Home Skin to, for Home Beauty to do. In order for Home Skin to trump those products, I had to see the value in what you're asking for. And so over the years, I noticed when it came to me as a makeup artist, I always looked for moisturizers that were no fuss. The more complicated they are, the more, fussy and too many shiny things, it just wasn't going to work. Essentially, as a makeup artist, we look for products that grip and that hold longevity. There are some makeup artists out in the world that actually prefer not to use any skin prep at all because they like to have a drier base so that product adheres better too. I'm not one of those makeup artists. I'm very passionate about really healthy skin. And so the combination of knowing, one, as a makeup artist, what products work. Being a makeup artist for 25 years now, I really have worked out what products sit well and how they perform best. Then also a big component and why I'm very privileged here at Home Beauty that I can create a product and anything moving forward based off some really deep data dives based on your customer service feedback. We know that one of the biggest customer service feedbacks we get is that so many people have issues with, particularly after COVID, where a lot of skincare was pushed upon us. We all had a 25-step system. We got really invested in that. Whilst it highlighted the impacts that skincare can have, by the end of it, I think people were just exhausted. And one thing I've learned over the journey of my own skincare journey is that actually a more simplified routine is more effective. You don't need to have 15 serums. Just having a cleanser, a serum, and moisturizer, etc., is all that you need. So we've got now my past experience as a makeup artist and all of the learnings I had in terms of what performs from 4 a.m. in the morning till 4 a.m. in the morning the next day. Then working with our customer service feedback here at Home Beauty in terms of why your products aren't sitting well, they're not lasting, and they're not performing the way that you want. And then the other component, which is what's missing in the market. So I'm bringing these ideas together, and this is really important because I promised myself that when we launched Home Beauty that I wasn't going to launch product to market if it already exists, which is why our powder is two-toned. Nothing exists in the market like this to really support you to use a translucent in the brightened areas and then a slightly toned powder in the other areas. So everything that I create with Home Beauty, I want it to have meaning. I want it to sit there uniquely amongst a market that I think, there's a lot of copycat culture. I don't want to do that. I want to create things that are actually needed. I don't do things for point of difference to just have a point of difference. I do them because I see, and I've been very lucky enough that I chose a very clear path of working with the everyday woman over the past 25 years. So I know exactly what you want and what you need, and most importantly, how you're really overwhelmed with choice and you're really overwhelmed with what's going to work for you. So with all of that being said, I had to sit with it, and I've been sitting, and I've been thinking, I've been driving and thinking in every capacity. When I do makeup, when I do my own skin, if you followed me along well at Hilary Homes Makeup or here at Home Beauty, I'm very invested into my own skin journey, and it's something that I've really invested into over the past few years, and it has had an incredible impact on my life and just on my impacts to my skin. So I feel like both professionally, personally, and luckily enough, just with my own passion for skin, I really came to a conclusion of what did I want to launch for our product range. Over the 4 years of developing at Home Beauty, I've really enjoyed traveling the world to engage with the best manufacturers in the world. When you sit in a meeting, I think hopefully if you've watched me in those meetings, you know that there's always an innovation part and then your own project part. They always will show you the innovation they're going on. And even if it's not something you're going to be developing in that near future, you always have a look. And so over the past 4 years, I've not only been obviously very heavily passionate about my own skincare journey and also as a makeup artist with how skin impacts Home Beauty's products, I've also really been lucky enough to be able to watch the world unfold with its innovation over, different concepts, different formulas, and I know and I can see what's a trend and what's going to stick. I'll tell you something, I'm not here to create a gimmick. I'm not here to create a trend. I don't want virility because it's something quirky and cool in that moment. I want a product that in 20 years' time will have just as much impact in your life than it did today or whenever we launch it. So I've been very lucky enough to be exposed to a lot of the best manufacturers in the world and the products they develop, both in skin, color, all of the different parts of makeup and beauty. And so I started to kind of really accumulate all that knowledge, and I've sat down with it and going, right, what do I want to create and what are the products that are going to have the impact that you need? So if this range has been developed with the sole purpose of the impact that it will have on your makeup and the way it looks and performs and lasts, then I know that it has to be a makeup focused skincare line. So what that means is I want to create an amazing skincare line that's going to be the absolute connection between amazing makeup as well. So to start with, let's talk about the very thing that will impact you at the end of the day with removing your makeup. And that has to be a makeup removing product. So we will be launching a cleanser. Makeup removing balms are very heavily saturated in the world. I've used plenty of them and I do love them for the most part. Where I'm going with the cleanser that we're launching is that it needs to be something that you can travel with really easily and that doesn't involve so much fuss. A lot of the cleansing balms you can't take into the shower. You've kind of got to do it beforehand. Then you walk blindly into the shower with oil in your eyes to remove it, and it can get really fussy. The cleanser that I'll introduce you to and what I've been developing for quite some time now is a cleanser that can be dual used as a makeup remover and also a cleanser. Rather than using heavy, dense balms that can only be used in a dry environment, aka away from water before use, so you can't use a cleansing balm in the shower, I'm showing you something you can use both out of the shower, in the shower, or both at the same time in the shower. Now let's talk about actual skincare. After you've hopped out of the shower, what are the products that we're wanting to develop? So what I have to come back to is, what are the problems that come up? What are the customer service issues that people find? Well, firstly, it's about the number one concern people have is about how it holds, how it grips, how it lasts. So I need to create products that are going to give me the best performance, but also tackling your skin concerns. So for me, one of the biggest, greatest lessons that I try to teach within makeup and now in skin is the best way to get the wonderful performance out of your products is about thin, grippy layers. Now, I'm gonna have to get you to hold on to this for me because in order for me to create this line consciously, I had to start thinking about what was going to work. So I knew that if I went for a serum and a moisturizer, I would have had to have had both of those to be super hydrating to get the benefits of the skin impact. But having two thicker layers was meaning that you would have an issue with stability. And I know absolutely what would happen is that you guys potentially may overuse the moisturizer to get the hydration that you need out of it. Then you have two thicker layers there and then they start to mingle, and that's when you get balling and peeling. What I want to create is a skincare that grips, but if I wanted to get the hydration in there as well, I had to break the line down into 3 products. I want to launch a serum of some description, and I want it to focus on smoothing out the skin, exfoliating and decongesting. So that's going to be one of the products. Then the next part was the hydrating, moisturizing part. So to remove the issues of the thickness and too emollient and moisturizers to give you the impact you want, but not working well for how it lasts and looks, I needed to break the moisturizer step down into 2. So it gives people more flexibility that if you are like me and you want this really beautiful, glowy, fresh skin that lasts, then you might do the 2 steps of moisturizing. Or if you have really oily skin, you might choose to only do the actual moisturizer step. So the first part of the moisturizing step is a really beautiful milky toner that we're going to be doing. This focus here is going to be on elasticity and bounce and juiciness of the skin whilst maintaining a really great adhesion. So it's going to be quite tacky, which is great. And then finally to the traditional step of hydration, which is your moisturizer. I will be developing a moisturizer that will work into this system that will give you the hydration, but I also would like to challenge it up to be a moisturizer that really plays into all the experience that I've gathered and all of the manufacturers that we're working with that are very good at what they do. And I want to challenge the innovation up a little bit with this moisturizer. I think that you can still get all of the benefits of a moisturizer, but challenging up what that means. So it's really about creating a line that's going to integrate seamlessly into your life, and it's not going to be fussy. We want a simplified range that gives you manipulation. So if you want super hydration, you go for the 3 steps of the hydration. The cleanser is going to be phenomenal. I can't wait to build out that project and each of those lines. Find a serum that I think is going to really suit that line and how it works. But also when it comes to hydration, give you guys the flexibility of how you adjust it based on your skin's needs, because your skin's never the same. You know, in summer and winter, this is about creating a system that you pick and choose as you need to. Hopefully it'll be a line that we use every day, but I also want to make sure that if there's days where you want to adjust it, you can. It's not confusing, it's very simple, but most importantly, it's incredibly effective. Thank you for joining me for episode 2. I hope this really gives you an idea of what I'm trying to do and create and why I'm creating it. This is the why. You're the why, my experience is the why, and minimizing just how often customer service is getting reached out because we're having issues or you're having issues with the volatility of your makeup. Because we know it's not home beauty. I want to make sure we're giving you every opportunity for your makeup to look amazing and to reduce the times that you're reaching out to us to ask, why is this happening? I will see you for episode 3, where we start to deep dive specifically on the manufacturing of the products, and I take you with me to Korea to meet our manufacturers.